Hello and welcome to ChurchCom Today. My name is Neil Fisher. I'm the Director of Communications for the South Carolina Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. My co-host is Carrie Graves. She is the Canon for Communications of the Episcopal Diocese of Upper South Carolina. Hello, Carrie.
Hi, Neil. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. Today we have a special guest. His name is Justin Dean. He is an experienced communications and PR advisor. He equips leaders to help grow the church and reach more people. He is also the co-founder of That Church Conference in Atlanta, and has a great deal of experience in communications, including Mars Hill Church. He has a new book. It is right here in my grubby little hands. PR Matters, a Survival Guide to Church Communications. Hello, Justin. How are you today?
Hey, Neil and Carrie. Thanks so much for having me on. I've loved the show so far, so it's an honor to be here with you guys.
Cool.
It's our pleasure. Carrie, do you want to get us started here today?
I do. I have a big question for you, Justin. So often in the world of church communications ministry, terms like marketing, branding, and PR are kind of frowned upon. They don't seem godly enough. But no matter how you look at it, the principles behind those terms apply to church communications. So what is PR to you in the church communications field, and why does it matter?
Sure, yeah, I hear that a lot. I mean, PR in general kind of has a negative connotation when people usually think about it as like a big corporation spinning the facts, or you think about politics and press secretaries and people lying to you and spinning things, trying to cover up different things. You watch movies and it's literally the PR guy comes in and covers up something crazy like a murder. And so we have this like negative feeling about it. When you try to apply it to the church, you go, whoa, the church isn't a business. The church shouldn't even have to worry about this stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important because our mission, right, it doesn't matter what congregation you're with or what denomination you're affiliated with. Our goal is to reach the world with the gospel, and marketing and PR and advertising are great ways to reach the masses with that. In the book, I kind of start out saying, kind of making the argument that PR really is something that you're doing already, because PR is everything that we say or do, or everything that we don't do and don't say sometimes. People have a perception about you based on a number of different things, from what you say, what you do, how you look, how your website looks, things like that. So I think it's important for churches to pay attention to.
Yeah, thank you for reframing that in that way, because it is everything that we do. It's everything that we're saying. Like you say, when we go out in the world and represent our church, we're being a PR representative, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about it, most people, when you're thinking about coming to a new church, for example, one of the first things you do these days is you check out the Facebook page, you check out the website, you try to see some photos and videos of what the church is like and whether you think you're going to fit in there. And all of that is PR. All of that is representing your church in a way. If people see a news story about your church, if it's positive, then they're going to have a positive perception of your church. If it's negative, they're going to have a negative perception of your church. And they don't even have to know you or ever have visited you. And so all of that needs to be managed well, because as a church, you want that perception out there to align with the reality of what you actually are and who you actually are and what you believe in and what it's actually like to be there at church. Someone needs to manage that, because otherwise perceptions can go a number of different ways these days.
Right. Tricky line to walk.
So, Justin, you, as you're saying, it's important to manage your congregation's reputation, whether that's in the flesh, online. How would you suggest a church communicator might keep their pastors and other leaders informed of what's going on around them?
Sure. I think it's important to pay attention to new technologies like social media, for one, is a huge way to get a pulse on what people feel about your church and what you're putting out there. It's one of the greatest platforms in order to actually get content out there that shows what you're all about. So having someone who is at least keeping a pulse and listening through social media, and then through news sites and blogs and things. I mean, there's not a lot of churches who really purposely try to get news stories out there in their community, let alone reply when they actually come knocking on the door or showing up on a Sunday with a TV crew. So paying attention to those things, and then reporting that up to your senior leaders. I mean, one thing that I used to do at Mars Hill was we had a weekly PR brief. So I would have a pulse on what people are saying and writing about us, and I would do news clippings and things like that, and I would compile it all into just a weekly email to say, hey, here's what people are saying about us, and even what people are saying internally, and that way we can kind of come together on a weekly basis and react to that however needed.
So you mentioned like a PR briefing. What might be included in that? What would that look like?
I think you include like general quotes of what people are saying. I used to rate it like on a different scale of, hey, okay, this, a 1 is just you need to know about this. A 5 might be we need to take action on this immediately. It's going to affect attendance or donors or any number of different things. And so it's good to kind of scale things that way. But I think, it should include what people are saying. It should include just a general perception of your church, maybe some assumptions of what maybe is to come. And then it kind of needs to come down the other way too. Like senior leaders should be sharing with the communications team things that are coming so that they have a holistic kind of overview of everything. So they can say, hey, okay, we're going to make a major announcement or a major change. I know because I have a pulse on the front lines how this is going to affect people, how they're going to react to it. So let's form a plan now before we actually make that announcement. So it's kind of be a two-way communication between communications team and the senior leaders.
In your book, you talk about the importance of social media, and earlier you talked about its power. How much attention should we emphasize our social presence? How much should we look at that, and as like a percentage of the whole, maybe?
Percentage-wise, I mean, I'm going to go kind of, with a greater percentage. I don't know if that's 50% or 60% even, but when you look at it, it really depends a lot on your audience and your community and the type of church you are and things like that. Like you can't, it all needs to align with your mission, your vision, your goals, and what you want to do with that. But when you think about it, like social media is how we communicate these days. It's how we stay in touch with relatives. It's how we stay in touch with friends, even friends that we see face-to-face on a daily basis. We're in constant communication through Facebook. It's how we consume news now. I never go to CNN.com or FoxNews.com or any of the news sites. If it doesn't show up in my Facebook feed, I may check it in like the Apple News app every once in a while, but if it's not fed to me, I'm probably not going to see it. And so that's where we live. That's where people are, and that's where they're sharing, and that's where they're telling you how you can minister to them. And that represents a larger audience than really any pulpit out there. You look at the largest church in America, and it's still not as big as the opportunity is on Facebook. We had a church of 15 to 20,000, and we had a few 100,000 watching our sermons through Facebook and YouTube every week. There's no way we could have built a church that would have had 100, 200, 300,000 people showing up and sitting in a chair every Sunday. So we dedicated a lot of resources towards our social media presence, building community there, getting to know who those people were, and meeting their needs as well, in addition to who's showing up in our buildings on Sunday.
Thank you. So are there some basic steps? What are some starting places to help manage that social media platform?
Well, I think, the first thing you do, I mean, most churches are worried about what do I post, what kind of content can I put out there? And I think, you can easily get a week's worth of content just from your Sunday sermon. So work with what you already have. Don't worry about starting a blog yet. Don't worry about going on Facebook Live or doing Snapchat stories or Instagram stories. Just start really basic with what you have, and that's your Sunday sermon. You're already producing it every week, and so you can take, even if you're hearing it for the first time on Sunday, have someone sit there listening to it, pull quotes from it, and you can actually schedule one a day or multiple a day using like Buffer or Hootsuite or any of the services like that, or even just scheduling directly on Facebook. And you can have those go out throughout the week. You can link them back to your website or link to the full sermon if you post that anywhere. You can pull clips if you record on video or audio clips as well. Most of the times a sermon can at least be pulled into one blog post, if not two or three. And if you don't have a blog or a website, you can easily post those on Facebook as well. So content's really easy to get, and I think that's enough right there. Then you can go on to other things, but really the most important thing is just to start listening. Build a Facebook page, start there, because that's where the largest audience is, and that's where everyone is. And then just start listening to what people in your community are saying, what people are going to your church are saying. Get to know who those people are, and start looking for needs and opportunities to actually serve them and love on them, instead of promoting the next event or promoting, coming to church even. Find out how you can serve those people, and just do that for a few weeks. Just if you're starting out, just start listening, start seeing what people are posting, and start writing notes on that, and then you'll get to know your audience and how better you can serve them. Just do that for a few weeks. Starting out, start listening, start seeing what people are posting.
Justin, I love your description of using Facebook for community. I think that is really critical in this current day of church communications. We have to reach out to the community, and Facebook is one way to do that. Another thing, you talked about the news feed and how you get your news from Facebook. And we all know that Facebook creates algorithms that direct our news feed towards our interests. So if a church is putting out what they do and who they are and doing that well, then hopefully they'll have followers, and that will start to build that community. It's a great tie-in. You talk about the power of relationships in your book. This is a big one for me. I've seen some church communication job descriptions that are like Director of Communications and Community Building, kind of what we were just talking about. So why is relationship building so important? Just kind of give us the heart and soul of it.
Yeah, for a while my title actually changed from Communications Director to I think Community Relations Director, because that was more of the emphasis that we wanted to have. When you're looking at a public relations person or a communications person, part of their job should be keeping a pulse on what that perception of the church is, so that you can manage that and help align that more with the reality of who you actually are. And so to do that, you actually do need to get involved in the public and actually pay attention to people. And so that's building relationships, not only through social media, paying attention to that audience and getting to know those people. If you pose a question on Facebook, be prepared to actually engage in the comments and reply to people and like their comments, go to their page and comment on their stuff, and build relationships that way. These are real people. They're not just random robots on Facebook that are there to raise your likes, because who cares if you raise your likes? These are real people that you can actually engage with. Some of them probably go to your church or might go to your church, or they might need to know about Jesus. So there's opportunities there. I think a church needs to break outside of its walls, its buildings, and so you want to build relationships with the community for a number of reasons. For one, that's the community you're trying to reach, hopefully, and so you want to talk to restaurant owners, business owners, political leaders that are in your actual community and city, and then even senators and House representatives as well in your county. And you just want to know the people around you that make up the community that you're serving, and really because you can find out ways to serve them better. You can find out more opportunities on how to tell people about Jesus. But if something does go wrong, if there's an allegation made against your church, or if something happens and you're in the middle of a PR crisis, you're going to find that it's a lot easier to navigate that crisis if you have more people who know the real you, and not the billboard or just the building that they drive by, but they actually know you. They've talked to you. You've held a fundraiser at their restaurant. You've showed up at the city council meeting, and they've actually seen you face to face. I think that really matters. Having that face to face interaction as much as you can with these real people actually does matter. People just, even psychologically, will give you the benefit of the doubt if they've seen your face in person and then heard you speak and things like that. So that stuff really matters. I mean, you can branch out to influencers and celebrities. You can do that online and offline and things like that. Identify people in your church and the skills that they have and ways that you can partner with them and serve them and things like that. But really, you should be trying to build relationships with as many people as possible. I think nowadays, too often, churches are just, hey, we're putting on a good show, we've got some great music, we've got great preaching, it's the best in the world, and we've got plenty of space for you. Come on and see what we're about, and then just be on your way because I've got to take a nap because I'm preaching 3 times today, and we'll see you later. Hopefully you join a community group. I'm not going to be a part of it, but you go join a community group. And that's it. That's our interaction with the church, and I think that's that's kind of shame on the church. Like there's a lot more that we can be doing just on social media alone.
That is all really excellent advice. You knocked that one out of the park. Thank you so much. In my diocese, we have been working with a curriculum called Shift based on a book by Mark Tidsworth. And one of the shifts is moving from attractional to missional, which is what you just described.
Yeah.
But I love the tips you gave about connecting with restaurant owners, business owners, all of those people in the community, because they may or may not go to church. They may or may not be part of your denomination. They may be part of a very involved member of, the Presbyterian church down the street. But
Right.
for them to know who you are and for all of us to be in relationship is really, really important. In my Episcopal Communicators group, one of my colleagues talks about your PR reputation as someone driving by and saying, I know that church. They are the church that da-da-da. I know that
Right.
church. They're known for this. And then in addition, the relationship building. And then tied into social media so much.
If they're a restaurant owner, they may not even be a Christian, but if they see a news article about your church that's even slightly negative, if they've seen you before, even if it's just you eating in their restaurant and you wearing a T-shirt from your church and they know about it, they're going to go, you know what? This sounds negative, but I know them. I've seen them. This can't be right. There's probably more to the story. And that alone just diffuses things and actually helps align it more with the reality of who you actually are, because a lot of that stuff you can't control. You can't control somebody writing about you or a member leaving and blogging about it. I mean, that's just stuff that's going to happen. But all of this helps manage the perception and reputation of your church in a way.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. Great advice.
So, Justin, I really want to thank you for being here today. I want to talk a little bit about how people can find out more about you and your new book, for example.
Oh, sure. So, I mean, my day job these days is run that church conference. So we do a big conference here, 2-day conference in Atlanta. It's actually coming up in September. You can go to thatcc.com. We've actually, I think, only got about 20 tickets left, so that's about to sell out soon. But we're going to live stream it online and stuff like that. So go to thatcc.com to sign up for that. We really teach churches how to use digital technology, social media, the tools at our disposal now to reach more people with the gospel. And we think there's a real need there that most churches are overlooking. So this is our 3rd year doing that. We're really excited about that. And then the book just released a couple weeks ago. You can get that at churchprbook.com. And you can find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and everywhere books are sold, I guess. But that's been going really well. People have been just really generous with the feedback on the book, and I know it's helpful. It actually includes like a complete crisis plan. I kind of just built one and tried it free with the book, so people can get the book and they're ready to go.
All right. Thank you very much. And we're going to wrap up today's show. First of all, if you would like to leave us some feedback, let's tell you about how to do that. Of course, like the video and subscribe on our YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment there. It's facebook.com ChurchCom and we could always interact on Periscope and Twitter with you at ChurchCom Today. Let me wrap up today by saying thank you for watching, and we hope that these videos have been helpful to you. Have a great day.